He'll come. You invite him. You invite him. You want the lights on?
Photographist Nimai. So good evening, everyone. Why don't you all come forward? You're fine there? Okay. So we are fortunate to have with us Dr. Syed Maqbool Ahmed with us today. And he'll be speaking to us about the intricacies of landing on the moon. Dr. Syed Maqbool Ahmed, he got his PhD from PRL, Physical Research Laboratories, Ahmedabad, in 1990. He's basically trained as a UV spectroscopist, worked in areas of planetary atmospheric simulations and experiments. Dr. Ahmed worked for Department of Atomic Energy's Institute of Plasma Research, Gandhinagar, for 13 years. During this period, he worked for NASA JPL for 2 years, and he had a sabbatical of 1 year in Swiss Federal Laboratory. He joined India's first moon mission, VSSC, in 2004 and built a commercial off-the-shelf mass spectrometer which worked very successfully for the first time effort by any human. And this was the mass spectroscopy which detected water on moon, right? Remember, India has 3 Chandrayaan mission. The first one, which was an impact lander, and that's when we had payloads from NASA as well as from India, and his spectrometer was the one which actually detected water there. And a copy of the same instrument worked on Mars for 8 years. It went on Mangalyaan mission, and it's still on the lunar orbiter. Dr. Ahmed moved to University of Hyderabad in 2009 and worked as the head of the Central Instrumentation Facility. Right now, Dr. Ahmed is conceptualizing a hyperspectral imager on a CubeSat platform to look at the Earth. This will be the most sophisticated instrument packed on a tiny 6U CubeSat. So we are very fortunate to have Dr. Maqbool with us, and I request him to come to the dais. And before he takes the stage, I would request Dr. Margarita Safanova to present him with a memento of the book. So it's a book on astronomy Olympiads. It's a very important book which is used by students who are they go for Olympiads, astronomy Olympiads. So this was translated by Margarita, Priya, and me from Russian to English.
Praise the position.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Dr. Ahmed.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody, and Professor Hassan and Professor Priya. Thanks for inviting me for this. I'm very, very excited. And those people who are sitting at the back, can you see the slides? We tried very hard to make these slides full screen, but this is all we could go. Let's see. Yeah, it's working. So you can see the slides. Can you see it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, this is so bright as compared to the slides. Thank you. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Sure. So what I plan to do is, since I'm talking to all the people, astronomy experts, I'm actually a laboratory guy. I build instruments and all. I build a lot of instruments. But moon is almost in the realm of astronomers in your backyard. But I also put a small claim on the moon because my instrument worked on the moon. In fact, my wife is an astronomer. My wife is an astronomer, so we have a small arguments whether moon belongs to her or to me. So, so here I am taking a claim, even though she is there. I dare not take too much of claim. Uh, what did was I have normally I give a lot of popular lectures, and I'm actually a motivational speaker and all. Today I got a very good opportunity to speak everything I know about instrumentation, but by no mean I want to bore you so much. My characteristic presentation of popular level will dominate, and accordingly I'll try to make it popular level only. But and questions wise. Let me go through the slides. I have 45 slides also, and then I will be very happy to take any question. I live just right next to Manu, so I can just walk down also. Since my wife is here, no problems. Also, I can go as late as I can, except my daughter who is waiting. This is the picture. I wish this is such a lovely picture. Chandrayaan 3 Vikram has landed, and this picture is clicked by Chandrayaan 2 orbital high resolution camera, OHRC. OHRC is one of the fabulous cameras ever built, and I can't tell you, I can't impress so much upon you people that from a 100-kilometer polar orbit with a telescope size, the pre-optic size is almost, I don't really recall, around 0.7 meter. I don't know how much it's a mirror, and from 100 kilometers they can actually have 0.6 meter resolution on the moon. Never ever moon was sampled so beautifully, and you can see that same OHRC has imaged Vikram on the moon, and they picked it up within a day after it landed and all, and then they splashed it and all on the Twitter or X, whatever you call it, it's all there. What I do is I will touch upon these points primarily about landing. But before I do, I speak a lot about landing. I want to speak something about what I know, that is what I did in Chandrayaan 1, and also a couple of bit of dose about instruments and all. So if anybody, apart from, since you all have come for learning the data analysis, anybody attached to instruments? Oh yeah, you were telling me. Jayant Murthy's team, you're there. Anybody instruments, experiments, instruments, spectroscopes, filters, detectors? Okay, great. Okay, so I am actually a hardcore experimentalist. So then I'll tone down my instrumentation urge, which I thought I will. Yeah, so I'll touch upon the Chandrayaan 1 and then Moon Impact Probe, in which I worked in Chandrayaan 1. I built an instrument called Chase, and then Chandrayaan 2, I thought I'll spend a great deal of time. I will not. And then Chandrayaan 3. So primarily about what I did in Chandrayaan 1, as I put it in large fonts. And landing was such a big deal, and ISRO clinched that landing. I was very, very closely following on landing aspects and all, and landing is so fascinating. I love, I'm also in the same rhetoric where India did a fabulous job and all. I have no second thoughts about it. But being an experimentalist, I have those intricate, very close watch. So I will take you through that minute, field of view, where you see milli or micro radians of observing the landing on the moon. Of course, you people all know about this, but still popular level. So any of the students who would not know about how to go to the moon and all. So this is my very famous slide of going to the moon. Without this, I won't go to the moon. So you go to the moon purely. This is Chandrayaan 1, and we were struggling that time, 2008. So we had PSLV, fabulous rocket. Only trouble with PSLV was it will only carry 1.4 tons, 1,400 kilograms, and by virtue of 1,004 kilograms, we were limited by a lot of experiments and all, and it dropped us in the initial orbit. And then there is a fantastic way of going to the moon, which India has discovered. When this was to happen, I have a lot of these things. This image actually means anecdotes. A lot of side stories are there. So Chinese had a propaganda where China was saying that since India got some help from NASA. So Chinese on the internet, they were saying that Indians would never reach moon. To tell you one small story, Ranger 1 was a mission between 61 to 65. Before landing on the moon, Americans had, we all know that they spent $100 billion. Then only Neil Armstrong could land on the moon. So before they could do, they ran a Ranger mission, 6 Ranger missions, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All the 6 failed Ranger missions. Just Google and check. I'm not saying just for the heck of saying, but 6 missions failed purely because to be able to reach moon was a huge challenge. And the same set of guys, we got a little bit of help at VSSC. So Chinese were saying, well, you see, you guys are taking their help. So they failed so many times, you guys will also fail. So for us, going to the moon itself was a big deal. And we found out a way of actually having a liquid apogee motor sitting in the spacecraft and keep on firing and raising your orbit. So if you look at the orbit, which is apogee, you can see from 22,000, it will keep on going, 2,66,000. Earth orbit for 2,66,000 and moon is at 3,84,000 kilometers. This is the most critical point where you fire the liquid apogee motor when the spacecraft is close to you. You fire less, you won't be able to catch the moon. So the moon is gone. You fire more, you go into the space. And that firing ability, you have almost milliseconds of firing. So a millisecond here and there would actually amount to 500 kilometers here and there. So a couple of milliseconds or more firing, you're finished. Less firing also your problem. So you have to fire in such a way, then you have this lunar orbit insertion. It's not really, this picture is not all that true. So we have seen recent pictures where you have lunar orbit insertion and then you travel from actually the Earth's gravitational field to the lunar gravitational field. It will take, the other day I saw it's almost 1.5 days or so. You travel from Earth orbit 5 to be captured by the moon. So we got captured by the moon, big deal as a matter of fact, is all I'm trying to say. So India went to the moon, but they didn't know what exactly to be done and all. But they came up with a very good idea that we said, sir, since we can't do much on the moon, can we have people from the world? So opportunity payloads were all asked and a lot of people gave their payloads. So we had only 4 experiments. The 5th one is Moon Impact Probe, which I'll come to. So India had only 4, primarily cameras from Space Application Center, Ahmedabad. Those guys have been building, but lunar laser ranging instrument is from LEOS Bangalore. High energy X-ray spectrometer is from PRL Ahmedabad. But SAC played a big role. And then if you look at the foreign payloads, so there also India played a small trick by saying that, sir, can we participate in the development in case it is left out? So in the case of UK based X-ray imaging spectrometer, there was a room, we participated in calibrating and all. The ISAC, now they call URSAC, UR Rao Satellite Center. And then SARA payload, where the Vikram Sarabhai Space Center actually built the control unit and all. They did a lot of work. Anybody from Kerala? Kerala. Is this about Chandrayaan 3 or? This is all Chandrayaan 1. I'm sorry, I didn't say. So I am sailing through Chandrayaan 1. This is Chandrayaan 1. Yeah. Chandrayaan 1. Yeah. So this is Chandrayaan 1. So I'm just trying to cover the whole Chandrayaan. And since I was part of Chandrayaan 1, so I am doing this with bit of authority, but otherwise I don't know much about the 2 and 3. So the NASA guys gave their best state-of-the-art 2 instruments, Moon Mineralogy Mapper, Mini Synthetic Aperture Radar. So the radome is from Bulgaria, the country which actually produces a lot of boxers and bodybuilders. They gave us this X-ray dosimeter, small cassette type dosimeter, like that. So India also learned, we learned quite a bit via these 2 collaborations. Now, just a little bit, I want to show these fascinating pictures of the Chandrayaan 1 terrain mapping camera. You can see a fabulous picture. It's a cartographic image. They say there are 2 line of sights by which you get this 3-dimensional perspective of the crater. You can see craters within craters. Never ever moon had been sampled at 5-meter resolution. Of course, right now, it's much better than 5 meter, thanks to Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, which is revolving at 60 kilometers orbit, and it's taking almost 0.7 meter, 0.6 meter. Of course, we are also sampling at 0.6 meter, orbital high resolution camera. I showed that picture in the first thing. So I worked in Chandrayaan 1. Manslayo. Understood. In Chandrayaan 1, moon impact probe was President Kalam's idea. So in there, President Kalam goes to a conference, international conference, and he tells the people that, hey, don't just go and revolve around the moon. Can you send a messenger, kind of a messenger, which will go and embrace the moon? So a probe would go and just fall on the moon, just falling, not doing nothing and all, impacting respectfully, if you want to say. But it'll all get finished. So this is the moon impact probe, which is getting attached to the mother spacecraft. And there were, so after President Kalam gave a talk in Udaipur, so he was saying, okay, let's talk about what all we can do. So people said that we'll have a altimeter which will measure the height. Then somebody said that, can we take color pictures of the moon for the first time? Yes, very good. And then the gentleman with whom I worked, my mentor said that I'll fly a mass spectrometer. I've been flying a mass spectrometer in the rocket from ground to ionosphere. I will fly that from the atmosphere to the ground. President Kalam was very happy. See, excellent science experiments are coming, good ideas are coming. We'll go ahead and have moon impact probe. That's how the moon impact probe was conceptualized, and these are the details where it will only work for 22 minutes or so and cover a range of 2852 to 2800 kilometers. This is started before 20 minutes, but it only had 23 minutes, and it will have an impact at Shackleton crater near there. I'll show you the exact pictures. This is the moon impact probe, which is no more there. It has fallen on the moon at South Pole, very close to the South Pole. I'll show you the exact picture where it has fallen. And in there, you see this white cup, ceramic cup, is the sampling area of the mass spectrometer which I built. And what is moon impact probe? Moon impact probe is the moment you actually go and revolving, you stabilized your orbit of 100 by 100 kilometers. So when you are on the top right of the North Pole, get separated from the mother spacecraft and slowly spin, and the orientation while you are leaving was also adjusted so nicely that you will find a spot of your choice. Our spot of our choice was, there was a mountain, I'll show you, Malapat mountain. And then right at the South Pole tip, there is a Shackleton crater. So in between that mountain, foothills of that mountain and Shackleton crater, we wanted to have an impact. This is the picture taken by ground-based telescope of the South Pole. We had an impact right there, I'll show you. These are the pictures, color pictures taken by moon impact probe. Never moon had been sampled like that. So these are the pictures at 25 kilometers. This is just before the impact. Raw pictures, these are not so much published and all. I took it from my friend in VSSC. Space Application Center actually did a overlapping of the ground-based imagery of the South Pole. You can see this is the Shackleton crater, and this is Malapat mountain. This is Malapat mountain, and somewhere here, how did they find out? They kept on matching the trajectory of moon impact probe and our images, our color images, and they said, okay, we flew over there, we flew over there, we flew over there. It's as if somebody is flying from Shamshabad airport all the way up to Gachibowli flyover. So the last picture was almost Manu's picture also they picked up. And then next was maybe L&T where I live. So they said, well, we fell somewhere between L&T and the Gachibowli flyover, like that, something like that, matching the pictures. So if you pay, I wish I would have had the full this thing. I would have shown you. This is the South Pole. This is the Schumacher, and Shackleton crater should be here, right here. Shackleton crater. This is the Malapat mountain here, and we had an impact somewhere here. We collaborated with one gentleman who is an authority on imagery at Canada, and we tried to find a lot about this position, where exactly moon impact probe could be there. Recently, this picture was pulled out by a payload in LRO called Diviner. Diviner is actually a IR payload where it will only pick up the temperature. It will image, is kind of a thermal camera, but it will pick up very, very low temperatures also, and hence you can see that the floor of this particular area has nothing to emit thermally, but most of the stuff which is all emitted when the moon actually revolves around the sun, and depending on the orientation it has, South Pole also get lit. So when the South Pole was lit reasonably well, this picture was taken. I had never seen such a good picture of the floor of all the craters and all like that. Okay, So 50 minutes I want to cover. Can I shoot beyond 50 minutes? Interesting. You guys are enjoying our. Okay. Okay. So I want to give a little bit of dose about. Yeah, I want to give a little bit of dose about what is moon is all about. Why moon is very very different and all. Since you guys are all postgraduates plus of course research scholars and all, so I want to tell you a bit more about how different is moon. Alan Stern, the PI of New Horizons, he's kind of my hero. He wrote a review article in Reviews of Geophysics. He wrote one 43-page article about everything which has been researched upon on moon. There were 7 to 8 pages about what all has been done as far as the composition of lunar ambience is concerned. I'm a composition scientist in a way. So if you look at the composition, that is the number density or yeah. So you can speak either in torr, which is pressure. Experimental guys will speak about pressure, but the most of the other theoreticians, they speak about number density. Astronomers and all speak about interstellar medium and all, which is having a density of 10 raised to 5 to 10 raised to 7 per cc. These numbers are very comfortable for you guys. Yeah, but that is all is there. The lunar ambience is as hopelessly bad as interstellar medium because there is nothing on the moon. It's all vacuum. For an experimentalist like me, absolute vacuum, which is 10 raised to the 760 torr, almost 1000 torr is our atmosphere, what we are living right now. So there it is almost 10 raised to minus 15, 10 raised to minus 8 to 10 raised to minus 9 torr. So a huge 10 orders of magnitude, nothing at all on the moon. Let's be very happy with number densities. So our number density, what we are all inhaling right now, 10 raised to 19 per cc, in there 10 raised to 6 per cc. So you can see that 19 and 6. So it's very, very less. 12 orders of magnitude, no, nothing at all. And in there, we want to measure what is the 10 raised to 6 per cc. That was a challenge thrown to us. And fortunately, challenge was to look for some mass analyzer, which is 10 raised to minus 12 torr. You see, this is my jargon, but for you guys, it's 10 raised to 6 particles per cc. So there are mass spectrometers which can measure very, very, very tenuous ambience, and we picked one mass analyzer and then we analyzed. And that is the mass. This is the mass analyzer, Chandra's Altitudinal Composition Explorer at SPL Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. What we did was, this is our team. Sridharan was there in that President Kalam's meeting. So he is the one who convinced that I'll fly a mass spectrometer. A lot of people said that no point in measuring, taking mass spectrometer because there's nothing in there. Useless, absolutely useless. So we said, sir, give us 3 kilograms. So he fought with everybody in the ISRO headquarters and managed to get 3 kilograms of weight so that we can fly it to the moon. And these are my team members, myself. Yeah, so what we did was we chose a path which is called we bought the most sensitive mass spectrometer ever to be built on Earth, and then we qualified it.
If that is too bright.
Is it? It's okay. Okay, fine. I was really enjoying it. Okay. No, yeah. Being an experimentalist, I always look for a number called signal to noise ratio. The SNR is always less. It's reasonably good. That one was really ripping apart. So we chose absolutely a different path where we said that, sir, we are bringing one commercial instrument. We will fly it to the moon. People started laughing at us. VSSC people, I have faced people in VSSC. They were laughing left and right. Yes, some guy has come from Gujarat. He is saying that he will take a mass spectrometer, commercial mass. So in Hindi and all, we call kul brushed. So kul brushed means we are all guys, we are rishis, we are saints. And among us, you guys, so we all use this scientific instrument which is space qualified. and you bring this instrument from some on the street, and you're saying that you'll fly this instrument, they were very, very angry. They were ruthless. There was a guy called Tyagarajan. He was the director of small satellites. In one of the meetings, when I showed this picture and I showed some pictures and all, one of the pictures had electrolytic capacitor. So it's foolish on my part that I should not have shown a picture where electrolytic capacitor was there, which will burn in space. I didn't know, to be honest. So I just flashed it for the heck of flashing. Well, this is the instrument, I have these and all. So Tyagarajan said that please take this instrument which you want to fly and throw it in Arabian Sea. Arabian Sea was just outside the windows. So to be able to qualify, to be able to cross the expectations of ISRO, so we have to cross all these Lakshman Rekhas, so ruggedizing and all that. So we have to ruggedize, we have to characterize, make sure that it will work on the moon. The battery has gone actually. So we have to make it strong. Data acquisition and control, small problem is there. So I will take some 7 to 8 minutes here. Should I? Or should I jump to, so the only topic for me, next topic, interesting for you guys, is how to land on the moon, how successfully we landed. Should I go through this agony of what I did in VSSC? Okay. Yeah, so I felt that I'm standing on Mount Everest. This guy is taking his selfie. Truly, when this guy had in my hand, I said, wow, I'm there. So characterize actually means, I told you 10 raised to 10 orders of less ambience. So I have to remove the air. And in Trivandrum, not many people are there from Kerala, they won't know. They would know, we all know that there is a viper. I am from Rayalaseema, I have never seen snakes in my life. Very few snakes in Rayalaseema. But when you go to Kerala, it's all full of snakes everywhere. So I have to go from my residence, go to this lab, 24/7, 13 days, continuously the pumps are on. Power is hopelessly poor in Kerala. Somebody is there from Kerala, please take it from me. It was hopeless. And power will go, so I have to go in the night time, and then these snakes are there right beneath my bicycle. I can't go on bike and car, because in Turls, Tumba, no vehicles are allowed. So bicycle, I saw almost snakes going beneath my bicycle. So that was a scary part, and go to the lab and then check whether everything is working and all. I created 10⁻⁻10 TOR in almost 1 year time. Then the VSSC guys started having respect for me. They said that yes, this Gujarat guy is really good. He is capable of doing something. 10⁻⁻10 TOR. Believe me, our atmosphere is 760 TOR. So reasonable. And then another part is, when you want to take a ride in PSLV, you will be jolted with 22 G force as compared to Mother Earth's 1 G force. So this guy may survive, but you will never survive human on 22 G force in PSLV. So your instrument had to be really, really strong to be able to take this jolt. Then since it's a commercial instrument, we had to get rid of the computer, because there is a microprocessor in my instrument from Atmel. That microprocessor need to be so whenever I power on any instrument, if you power on, what it does is, it will actually take, it will turn on. It has a read-only memory, ROM. That ROM has all the programs built, and it will go on. So when I power on my mobile and all, camera and all, it will take some time. TVs also take bit of time. So the ROM will come on, and then ROM will command your gadget. This silly instrument had it needed lot of instead of not having ROM, it needed lot of data from computer. So I have to have a computer which is a customary software. That software will handshake and put in lot of data. What is going on between this and this, I had no idea. So we did a reverse engineering by studying a serial sniffer software. So in Trivandrum, there was no internet also. Of course, there was no internet in the VSSC. At home, I had this BSNL wala, one cable wala internet, which will go slowly. So I Googled and all in 2003, managed to have one sniffer software. That software were actually designed by a German young boy. He wanted to help all those IT companies which are prospering in 2003 to find out, I am running IT company, I have hired 10 guys, all my 10 guys are coming and reading Malayalam Manorama or Hindustan Times or something, don't take it otherwise. So I want to tap what my guys are doing instead of working for me. For that, the serial sniffer software is the key. That was the agent. So I took that trial version and I put it between this and this, and then that software picked up the huge amount of data. All the data, I took it and put it in FPGA and tried to turn on the instrument. The instrument never got turned on. So we struggled for 3 to 4 months. One guy in Bangalore headquarters, he said that, sir, there is a small problem you guys are not realizing. That problem is baud rate and then parity. So whenever you shake hand, so you communicate with one baud rate, one parity, and then later it will switch over to other baud rate, other parity, and nobody would tell which baud rate is first one, which baud rate it will change. If you look at the baud rates and parities, there are dozens and dozens of combinations. No way that I can change all the combinations and see that yes, for the first time handshake namaste there is one baud rate and this parity, and for second I don't know. So it took lot of time, but we solved that problem. The day we solved that problem, headquarter guys said that this is one of the classic reverse engineering in the history of ISRO. Nobody had ever solved so intricate problem. I can't share how I solved. So we did vibration test, we did thermo vacuum test. In fact, since my wife is here, I can tell my son was almost on deathbed in Hyderabad. Seema had come here in the holidays. My instrument was to go for this thermo vacuum test, that is elevated thermal cycle, 0 degrees, 60 degrees, 0 degrees, 60 degrees. Just like in South Indian films, to break the hero, they will cool, hot, cool, hot. So same cool, hot will go on. My instrument was to undergo all that, and I had to decide whether to come and see my son who is in ICU, or my instrument was getting tested here. So I stayed for a couple of days, ignored my son being in ICU and all. So when I came, in fact, I remember the Shamshabad airport was the very first day when it was opened. I came after 3 days of starting of this thermo vacuum test. Fortunately, it cleared, my instrument cleared. Agonizing time to pass this. I wish I could tell stories about this also. Lots and lots of hardships. So we started from a commercial instrument. We built a space qualified instrument which will survive 0 to 65 degrees. It is standalone with a DC-DC motor, and the whole box is built out of magnesium block. Huge amount of efforts to do so. All that it found a way in here. Chandrayaan spacecraft, moon impact probe, right at the end. I just this is over. The chase will all be over. Don't you worry. So I'm not joking. I will assure you guys that whatever we did was a fabulous job. One of the best instruments ever to be flying out of Earth. 100 times better. So these are all atmospheric explorer, CDE for ionosphere, Pioneer for Venus, dynamic explorer for one planet, Galileo is for Jupiter, Huygens Cassini is for Saturn. So compared to all of them, our instrument is 100 times better dynamic range, 10,000 times fantastic sensitivity, better in sensitivity. Mass is very, very less, and we love to have less mass. So 3.8 kilograms. Yeah. So 15th August 2008, my instrument had just failed 3 days before. I was sleeping. I slept on floor in one of the labs in Trivandrum, and I was going to Valyamala to hand over. My body was all stinking and all. On the way to Valyamala, I reached my home, and this is a flight model I'm not supposed to touch, illegal picture, but it was so exciting moment that this is the one which has fallen on the moon. I live here right next to Manu. From 9th floor, I look at the south pole of the moon. This instrument has fallen. Amazing feeling, to be honest. So we found water on the moon, but not the lakes and all. Direct evidence of water from chase payload. Sridharan, my mentor, myself, and my team members and all. We do not hold the credit of finding water on the moon. We were snubbed by the international community and all. There are a lot of stories. I wish I could tell those stories. Let's not worry about those stories. The actual credit of finding water on the moon lies with Moon Mineralogy Mapper, not to us. That is NASA's Moon Mineralogy Mapper. So, but I'll show you. I beat them by by convincing the editor of Science Journal who published that NASA's paper. After 10 years, the editor accepted my version and said that chronologically it is the chase which found water on the moon. I'll show you that picture if anybody is interested. So Chandrayaan 2, we wanted to soft land, and we were taken ride by Bahubali. Fantastic, huge rocket. The GSLV Mark III, amazing. It'll just I mean, mesmerizing. You can see the ants. Humans are all like ants. So I live in 9th floor, still 3-4 floors above where I live. Such is the height. It is much more than the Airbus 380 if I compare. 4 times the best civilian aircraft which humans built. And that is the thrust it can generate and all. Amazing. It took us to the moon and all. And it had orbiter will get separated first and it will orbit. So you can see that the orbiter right at the bottom. And then the lander would go. In the lander, there is a rover. So their details and all are there. In Chandrayaan 3, there is no orbiter. Only propulsion module and lander. Yeah, I wish I could tell more. Since you people listen to my story so much, I will skip this. Only I want to emphasize that all the 5 plus 6, 7, 8 instruments in the orbiter and another 5 in the lander, which we have now. Lander come rover. These 13 instruments were all built in here in India. If you recall, in Chandrayaan 1, we had only 4 instruments. Out of the 4 instruments. Moon Impact Probe was 5th. That had a couple of only amateurish kind of instruments. But here you see huge. ISRO came up with a full force. And then, yeah, of course, no point in going through the details. But you actually raise your orbit, and then you have this lunar transfer trajectory, and then lunar orbit insertion, and then you get captured with the moon. And then when you go to the moon, from 100 by 100 kilometer orbit, you shrink the orbit further by 100 by 30 kilometers. So from there 100 by 30, you try to land. That was all done. It was done in 46 days or so. And these were all done. No point in reading all this. So Vikram did not land on moon. Is not a big scar. Yeah, it is. You see that anywhere we could have been in Bay of Bengal, launch so many times, raising the orbits, so many things and all. Anywhere we could have gone wrong, but we went wrong in landing. Yeah. So I got only Chandrayaan 3 8 slides. Very interesting and all. Before I go to those 8 slides, I want to impress upon a little bit of history about why does it take so much of efforts and how terrible it is to land on a foreign object. Curiosity is one of the most winner. It's like, yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know who is, maybe Amitabh Bachchan, or maybe I don't know. I have some preferences which I'm not saying since my wife is here. So I would have said Madhuri Dixit. Okay, so Curiosity is that particular rover. It has created history. It has drawn a lot of attention, and it made a lot of planetary scientists so proud that the guys in Washington DC, they said, okay man, come back again, we'll give you money. Whatever money you want, we'll give you. Purely because the Curiosity was a fantastic attempt by humans to land on planet Mars. If you guys Google and see the success rate of landing on planet Mars, only 40%. It's terrible to land on planet Mars. Of course, Moon also has its own problems. Planet Mars has a bit of atmosphere, 100th of our atmosphere, and hence you can use parachutes. If you use a parachute around 56 to 50 kilometers above, the parachute will give you drag, and then slowly you can slow down. The problem is, once you are in the orbit around that object, your speed is around 6,000 to 8,000 kilometers per hour. Let me put it in kilometers per hour. A lot of theoreticians prefer meters per second. For me, that means nothing. For common folks, kmph. kmph is such a speed, 8,000 kilometers per hour. Nothing goes on Earth. The fastest fighter aircraft is 2,300 kilometers per hour. Fastest one on the road, Lamborghini, I don't know whichever you take it, 400 to 500 kilometers per hour. So you have to reduce that particular speed, and then there are a lot of problems. So they used parachute plus retro firing, plus they used a thing called aerocrane. They came up with an idea where aerocrane was used. So you got drag, by virtue of drag, you slowed down and all. 10 kilometers above, the aerocrane was started. Aerocrane was this particular aerocrane. You can see that from the foot of that aerocrane is firing down, so that it is negotiating the attractive gravity. It's not negotiating. It's getting the thrust so that the forward velocity will be reduced. You're actually going towards the object, foreign object, because of that 6,000, 8,000 kilometers per hour orbital velocity. So that's why it's called power braking or power descent. So that power is coming because of the orbital velocity, and this firing will give you opposite thrust so that you can hover over the surface. So fantastic, very successful. Schiaparelli is again on planet Mars. So European Space Agency, they had a small problem. It failed to land on planet Mars. Bereshit, just before Vikram 1, Chandrayaan 2 lander, private company from Israel tried to land, they failed. Now come back to the present year, this year, Vikram Chandrayaan 3, just before us, 2 months before us, there was a lander called Hakuto R. Hakuto R is a private Japanese company, tried to land, and they carried United Arab Emirates one rover called Abdul Rashid or some Rashid. That rover is in the name of the Prince of UAE, and that rover would have roamed on moon and all. It couldn't land on the moon, the Hakuto R of Japan. Then we all know about Luna 25 and all. We were so this thing, we worried so much, worried or whatever we did about the Russians just going few days before us. That also had a problem. So history has been absolutely ruthless in seeing. You can see that the Schiaparelli failing, you can see the crash land place and all. Bereshit also having gyroscope failure, and this is malfunctioning of the central processing unit in Schiaparelli. All those were the lessons which we learned. And India, for some reason or the other, in a typical ISRO's way of saying, thinking out of the box and say that, sir, we want to land at South Pole where nobody had ever landed. I don't know why that sentence is so amazing. Instead of that, they would have said that we want to land at South Pole where lot of science interest is lying, lot of interest for colonizing and all is lying. But anyway, you can make a statement. And I'm running out of time. Najam bhai, kitna time hai abhi? Okay, 10, 15, 10 minutes. So I would not like to go into the details of how we failed. 15 minutes I got, wonderful. So 10 minutes I'll cover the other. So we failed, I say. In Chandrayaan 2, the signal ceased to come at 2.1 kilometer, and then we failed. We had everything fine. So the trick of landing, please remember the number. It is 6,120 kilometers per hour. And then you do that thing called rough braking, where you really slam on the retro engines, and retro engines will actually fire, and then you get the thrust in the red arrow, so your forward velocity will reduce, and then you are somebody as if you're applying brakes, and then when you come down and all, your speed will go down. Still it will be hell of 500 kilometers, nothing on the roads will move this much speed. So, and then slowly precise braking and all, you were to land and take a lot of this. This was not even ISRO that time. So ISRO has done a fabulous job later. Yeah, but this is all there. So in fact, in the recent interview, Chairman ISRO said that it is mainly due to the logic of taking craft to the landing site. I will come into the details. I have many slides which Somnath himself presented. So basically, first time we knew, recently, Somnath went on public and said that we failed because of this. I'll tell you what is that failure. And this is the one which is, there is a guy called Shan Chanmugam, a techie. He is the guy who first found out that, hey, here is your Vikram which has fallen. Pay your attention here. Here is the scattered parts of Vikram, the first Vikram which fell. ISRO was not actually showing all that. Yeah, so we're Chandrayaan 3. So welcome Chandrayaan 3, and launch vehicle Mark 3 is not GSLV Mark 3. It is slightly a different avatar of GSLV Mark 3, but amazingly built in such a way that tomorrow when we want to take humans to the space, this will have less jitter, less vibrations as compared to 22G and all. So humans, if they sit in a spacecraft with 22G, nothing will survive. No bone will be in shape. All the bones will be deformed. Of course, the human would have died anyway. Even the bones, you cannot collect them in one shape. So the LVM is towards there, and you can see that these were the strap-on motors, stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and then here is where the spacecraft propulsion module and landing module were sitting here. Yeah, propulsion module having one shape. I'll tell you about the instrument, landing module and rover.
What is the maximum G-force
LVM3, I don't really know. I don't know. But after the launch, the project director of LVM3 said, "This is all we are looking for. This is the futuristic launch vehicle." It was amazing and all. Neither they told in the media. Since I don't work for ISRO, I don't know. But it is very good.
Was this the same one used for the testing of the manned mission?
Yes, that is what I'm saying. This is the one which will take humans. LVM is the Bahubali's cousin, but very muscular, but very gentle and carrying humans. Is all ISRO is saying. Yeah. So if I cover all this, but I am fascinated by all this. This is presented by Somnath. So I just took the screenshot and converted it into a slide. Guidance, navigation, control. So Somnath went into the greater details. So I want to share those details in the next 5 slides, then I'm done. Beyond that, nothing much is there. Don't worry. This guy keep on speaking. So I won't speak. So he said that, sir, we came up with a fabulous idea, and please listen to my details and all. So the power descent, the first stumbling block is, will you fire the throttleable thrust motor so nicely? So it's just like you are given a very powerful horse. The horse is extremely good. The horse is nimble. Nimble means it will listen to your commands. If it doesn't listen to a command, you're finished. That's what happens. So he said that the instantaneous thrust regulation, they got a good control. They made sure that it will work well. And if something goes wrong, instead of 2 sigma variation, if it goes 6 sigma, they said that we'll control it and all. So all that was embedded into a guidance, navigation, control, so that any mismatch of throttling, any mismatch of rough braking and the fine braking, anything, if the engine doesn't fire properly, will take care, no problems. That's how it started stumbling. The 2.1 kilometers stumbling happened because of the huge amount of firing and all. The horse misbehaved. You had a fabulous horse, but the horse will just not listen to you. So that is part of GNC problem. Then there is the anti-slosh baffle. So anti-slosh is actually the guy, drunkard guy. So who is doing all this? So that pivotal movement also controlled. And then I wish I could tell, this is my regime. So they carried velocitometers, they carried altimeters, they carried hazard avoidance sensors, they carried inertial sensors, state of the art. These are all amazingly state of the art. Look at, only I want to pay attention to laser Doppler velocitometer. They wanted to have it in Chandrayaan 2 also. State of the art, nobody will sell this to you. This is an absolute velocity measurement sensor using laser. So this ISRO developed right at home. And then this will give you, so once you know the speed very well, then you know everything. This is actually the one, and then take the signal from there, give feedback and make sure that you're not going quickly, not you're going slowly. If I go slowly, they carried more power. Last time they went little slowly, they carried less power, and hence ran into problem. So what they said was real-time guidance bound check. Any bound, it goes above the bounds, it'll actually take. If any violation is taking place, retargeting. So they said that, sir, so they had earlier, they had one spot where they could go and land. Here they said that they found a strip. Instead of half kilometer by half kilometer, they found a strip of 4 kilometers by 2.5 kilometers. 3 strips were there. So I'm going this way. Real time, I got the feedback, and I found out that I'm not able to reach. To hell with the first strip, I go to the next strip. So 3rd strip. So they had retargeting option. No problems. They'll go. Beyond retargeting, they had one absolute emergency landing sequencing. In emergency landing, no matter what happens. That's what the chairman was quoted and all. I'll tell you what all this, anything happened, it will go and still land. And that is all is here. So the secret was mitigate. So the Somnath very nicely in that presentation, he laughed. A typical, don't mind, Malayalam, Keralite way of smiling, not laughing like a North Indian. Okay, don't mind. So just for the sake of fun. Otherwise, I'm only speaking. So, Somnath, in Telugu, anybody Telugu? Telugu, they call Chirunavu. So, Chirunavu ante mellaga, just navutuna gaani navutaleenu. So, like that, he laughed a bit. And he said that, sir, this time we are not trying to land successfully. We are mitigating all the failure modes. That is an amazing policy. This is what JPL does. JPL does all the descent, landing, and called DSL, descent. There is a group where one of the Indians is also working. So they have a group with JPL where they take care of all that. They are proud of saying that we can land anywhere, any extraterrestrial object. So that group also follows this methodology where go for any failure mode and solve that mode. If you solve that, then you're successfully will land. You need not worry. Chandrayaan 2, we were trying to successfully land. Now I can tell you why we failed. What happened was at 2 kilometers. So we were saying that, sir, there is a spot there, half kilometer by half, there only I want to land. And then, okay, all the closed loop guidance signals told us that go there, calculate how much of this thing you have fuel. They calculate the fuel. This fuel and go there, I can only go with this much of speed. The speed was so much that it went and crash landed. So that is the effect, that is the rationale of successful landing. This time, if same thing had happened, they said that we carry so much of fuel that it will go and land at half by half kilometer only, and we have enough amount of landing fuel so that we can hoover, make sure don't land in the crater and all. Also, that was there. So instead of half by half, I told you this 4 by 2.5 kilometer. Sequencing, sensor failure, engine failure, algorithm failure, calculation failure. No matter what happens, it's just like I was telling, Priya was also there in the TV interview where I was saying that close is like a blind man close his eyes or her eyes, she will go and then land at a place. That's what they made the Vikram 3, Chandrayaan 3 wala Vikram. So land anywhere instead of the spot. So they had a lot of additions of orbital high resolution camera and antennas and all. They carried a lot of solar panels. In case after landing also you run into problem, they put solar panels all around and all. A detailed map of already 0.28 meter orbital high resolution camera images were already there. So huge artificial intelligence built into it. So the spacecraft would know the moment it will see a thing image there, it will know, yes, I'm going in this direction and it will take me with this speed, it will take me to that crater. I'll avoid the crater and I'll control my speed. That was all built in. 250 kilograms of extra this thing fuel, and that all made sure that they will go, and this is all they did umpteen number of modeling, and they said that they will happily go and land in that strip. Done. So these are this, no matter so many simulations. So I never ever believed, because here I see a lot of guys, you're all simulation guys. So the ISRO guys were all that nut and bolt wala, this wala and all, but the guys, they found out a lot of bright guys, and then they did simulations and made sure that they will land at a place. And these are the strips where they would land in one of those strips instead of the spot where, in fact, Luna had some spots reserved. So they told us that, hey, don't go there, these are our spots. Anyway, they failed a couple of days before we could land. Yeah, this is last 3 slides, 3 more slides. So ISRO guys believe seeing is believing, and that's what they did. So they did cold test, they did hot test. So what is cold test? So they assembled the Vikram, took it in a chopper, and then they made all the 9 instruments to work coherently. It's just like the Beethoven music, where everybody has to give the correct tune, otherwise your music is gone. So everything worked in cohesion, and then everything worked well, and they made actually a lot of trenches and all. The camera said that, hey, trench is there, don't land there, all that, all those things. So they tested velocity meters, altimeters, cameras and all, everything worked well. Hot test, they let the Vikram to actually drop from a huge crane and made sure that it will do. You can see that cold test in the chopper, where they also dug up and all, made sure that it will work. And then huge crane from there, Vikram, they made it to fall. And they also test the leg. There was a leg which was made to actually take much more velocity while this thing coming down. These are the payloads which it carried. This is all I do. Whatever I spoke till now is not my regime. This is my regime. But I am lost of all my energy to explain about these payloads. But only thing I want to emphasize upon is that all are made in India. So the seismic activity one is all made here. Rambha is actually to measure the. Remember, we told that the Apollo astronauts carried lot of dust on their suit and all, purely because there was a lot of static electricity. So they wanted to measure what is the static electricity and all, going all the way down to 25 picoamperes. This is built at a place where I worked, space physics lab. The thermal conductivity instrument probe is also built at SPL only. The lunar reflecting array was supplied by NASA. It will work as a beacon. These two instruments, first time in the history of moon, they have been tried. Apollo and all, they carried seismometers. They were very big and different kind. These guys had amazing, very state-of-the-art accelerometers and all with a very good resolution. Rover payloads, alpha particle X-ray spectrometer, first time ever tried. This was tried on planet Mars by NASA, but nobody had ever tried on Moon. Laser-induced breakdown spectroscopy, again tried on Moon for the first time ever. Propulsion module carried a payload for you people, astronomers, who are all hunting for the exoplanets. So it will measure the polarization properties of Earth at 1.04 to 1.7 micron. It will pick up the polarized light, and then that will be, they have modeled, and maybe you can correct me if I am wrong, which will say that if the life is there on any extraterrestrial object, it would have some signature buried in the polarized light, and that we will see and do it for Earth, and then we can compare apples and apples. One more slide is there. So this slide is same thing as the one I showed you for Chandrayaan 2. That is rough braking, then altitude hold, fine braking, hover over the ground. But I want to emphasize one point, not much. So it took 14.5 minutes to land. There was one problem, which again they did a lot of modeling and found out that as you were hurling down to the South Pole, you were actually carrying horizontal velocity. Can you read the number? VH and then V vertical. So what happens, it appears that the horizontal velocity will get translated into vertical velocity when, if you flip, you basically flip. How do you flip? You have 8 thrusters. By virtue of those thrusters, you flip the spacecraft. Otherwise, it's actually, with respect to lunar surface, it's going like that. And these are the 4 legs. So when you flip, it is there. And then when you still firing, fine braking, so your retro firing will pushing up, but you're already carrying the forward velocity. So you keep on going, and you're firing also. The transfer of horizontal to vertical velocity was not very well calculated. There they made absolute big blunder, and hence it started toppling from vertical to horizontal. Somna said that, sir, again same smile, typical smile, said that don't you worry, all calculations sab jeb mein hai, perfect, it'll land. And that's what happened. And you can't believe that this is where these guys tried and had a problem in Chandrayaan 2. But you can see that they landed. This is the Vikram of Chandrayaan 3. This is the Vikram crash landed. This is where my baby had fallen, moon impact probe. So I just asked one of the guys who was doing the imagery of moon and all, and wanted to show you the perspective of where all Indian efforts went in falling or landing on the moon, either way. Somebody asked crazy questions. We are so much worried about China. They said that, where is Chinese rover, sir? So the Chinese rover is on the far side of the moon, 1850 or whatever kilometers, 1891 kilometers. And somebody asked another crazy question: can Vikram go and shake hand with Shanjay? So which will never ever happen as long as we live. And this is the picture, original picture of Hakuto R, picked up, taken by Hakuto R of Earth. This is the South Pole. JAXA has played this picture, and I think I'll stop here. You guys can contact me. Thank you. Any questions? I'll be happy. Yeah, please.
So a nice question. As you have explained that soft landing is very difficult. Now, Apollo 11 went and people landed and all that. So was it easier because
No, the Apollo guys actually had lot of nightmares. When the third guy in Apollo 11, he was roaming around the moon, and the landing module LM has to go up and be picked up. So it could not actually take up. But your question definitely has some this thing. I remember one incident where people quote it. Neil Armstrong, actually being a US Air Force pilot himself, had put up a lot of fighter pilot timings. So the LM was actually about to land. So this is what Neil Armstrong said, that if it had put it in auto mode, which was while it was going, it would have actually almost, they were a few tens of meters above the surface of the moon. If we had not overridden the auto mode and let it go little beyond the crater, the Apollo 11 would have actually landed in a crater. That incident is true. I can't deny that incident. However, the hardships and the rhetoric of Americans to win against USSR, that was so powerful. Those guys did a fabulous job, and they really did everything meticulously, and they failed, as I was saying, Ranger 6 times and all. So the humans being there might have helped, but otherwise it was all very good. Later we know that there was 5 more out of the 6 landings. They did a very good job. Human would have helped a bit, but otherwise we must salute the planners, the mission planners. A lot of books have come. I want youngsters to read about Apollo mission. A lot of those people who were there at the helm of affairs in Apollo, they wrote a lot of very nice stories about how did they actually plan and landed on the moon.
Russians still landed first.
Oh yeah, the Luna, which one, 3 or something? Yeah.
Luna 2 missed.
Okay.
By the way, I have a related question. Why do you think Luna 25 crashed?
Yeah. Good question.
Russians are silent about it.
Yeah, good question. Don't mind, I don't know your nationality, but still, whatever I know. Yeah, don't mind. I'm sorry. I'm a scientist. I don't believe in color, creed, religion, and all. I mean, I'm quite blind. So we all know that Russia actually did the way Russians went and all, and a lot of guys, youngsters and all. Of course, I'm a keen follower. Any whisper about the attempt of doing anything space mission and all, I'll come to know. But even for me also, it was a surprise that those guys were going. They went. So in the Twitter X, a couple of guys are there in US and few in Europe. So they were keeping a tab and all, they were knowing what exactly happened. In fact, there's a guy called Kenneth Chang. Kenneth Chang wrote a fantastic article in Times of India. I think they picked up from Reuters and put it in Times of India. So Kenneth Chang wrote an article and said that how badly it was managed by Russians as far as their arrogance, their way of saying that we will go and for the heck of it, we'll show it to the world that we can land happily and all. It seems these are Kenneth Chang's words. Now come back to your question. On X, it was disclosed that before Luna could actually land, so Luna had to go into a landing orbit. So they were in pre-landing orbit. In pre-landing orbit, they had to fire an appropriate way of firing so that they could shrink the orbit. So that firing, it appeared. It could be very wrong, but this all I read in somewhere on the net, that they fired that almost 30% more than they could have actually fired. One guy tweeted by saying that they actually fired 51.5 times what they would have fired. So let's say if I am in an orbit 100 by 100, so I would go into 100 by 30. I'll be almost kissing the perigee. So if I fire more, even though I would be there on the top, I would go and slam onto the moon. And purely because of that landing orbit selection, where they fired heavily, they went and slammed on the moon, is all known to me. I may be wrong. Yes.
So during the landing, the graph which showed the landing was a bit deviated from
Yes.
the simulated graph.
Right.
So is it due to the, just as you explained, due to the toppling, or into vertical conversion or something else?
Yeah. So it was expected. It was, see, that is the problem. We are all, that's why the ISRO leaders also are made to believe us. They pull out that graph. We see there is a line in there, the blipping thing going out exactly. And then where a blip is there. So we say textbook launch and all. But in real life, especially in the landing also, there was expected a deviation, such as whatever simulations were done, and then whatever that GNC was put into, that is, they were expecting there will be a deviation by virtue of retrofiring. So the any deviation would come only because of retrofiring only. So if you, in rough braking, you could do, because you're stopping from 6,000 kilometers per hour to 500 kilometers per hour. There's a huge amount of firing, retrofiring. When you come down, and the one you are referring to, a lot of people actually paid discussed and all on Twitter. So they said that when they were only few hundred, in fact, somebody, this could be right also, actually did not land at the intended spot. If you recall the transmission, it actually changed and it went little ahead and landed. That is also there. That was expected and it's no big deal. It was all taken into account. Small blip compared to the worst case scenarios, which I took for 7-8 slides to explain. But thank you for listening patiently. I didn't know that you guys will listen, but I'm sure you are all fully convinced that landing on moon is tough and India did a good job. As an experimentalist, actually, I find it very fascinating. Apart from the other rhetoric, there's a rhetoric also saying and all, yeah. In fact, I have to tell something which Najam, I was sitting with Najam in one local Urdu TV where something about Luna 25 and all was saying. In fact, I want to quote Najam and then I want to quote one more incident also. So Najam went on to say that we are a nation, we are talking about scientific results, scientific attempts here. Here that political boundaries, political views have no role to play. As a scientist, I only see a fellow scientist who has done what. Now come back to one more TV discussion where a question was asked that the Luna was already there in the orbit. The Luna was to actually go 2 days before Vikram could land. So somebody asked a NDTV guy, Pallav Bagla, and said that, what do you have to say that the Russians are landing before India? Pallav Bagla's comments I really loved. I put it in my LinkedIn post. So Pallav Bagla said that we have no problems with Luna going there because Russians are our gurus. We learned so much from Russia. So I really, that is the attitude. I mean, I don't treat, even if anybody is there. For scientists, we don't have foes, enemies. For us, we are all fellow scientists. You could have a political view, but scientists should never wear the political glass. I don't wear, at least. Any questions, guys? No questions? Thank you. Yes.
Sir, what were the workings of moon impact probe?
What were the?
Working of moon impact.
Yeah, moon impact probe, as I told you about that President Kalam's incident, where President Kalam said that the aim of moon impact probe is only to we were the fourth people to go and touch the moon before China, in a way. Again political statement. But that was there. Then U2 landed after this happened. This is November 2008. U2 landed in 2011 or so, the rover from China. Moon impact probe's aim was only to go and slam on a location. South Pole, we wanted to have, and our instrument, I wish we could have got some direct. We were very hopeful that the mass spectrometer will pick up a lot of water signatures. What happened was, as we went towards so we were flying on the daytime of the moon. As we went towards the south pole of the moon, the temperatures were frozen so much, so the vapor pressure is actually directly proportional to the pressure. So I'm sorry, temperature. So if the temperature, just like Charles' law. So if temperature had been more, the water vapor should have been prevalent. We could have easily picked up clear signature of rise in water vapor as we were heading towards South Pole. That never happened. And we didn't know. We were just saying for the heck of having a mass spectrometer flight, we flew it. And then the mass spectrometer all worked extremely well. No problem. Priyaji, just if you give me one somebody asked me about the the science paper where I got the credit back to India. So if you see here, yeah. So if you see here, where is my powerful laser? Where is the, yeah, yes, yeah, yeah. So look at this. So this is e-letter to Science Journal, and you can see that 10 years, exactly 10 years after 2009, daytime lunar water observations by Chase payload Chandrayaan need to signify chronological development. And I pleaded to the editor that, sir, it is us who were actually operational much before the moon mineralogy mapper, and by publishing this, it really gave the credit to Chase our instrument. And you can see that even though many people snubbed our data and all and said that it is not doing well, so GRL, the Anil Bhardwaj and all, they published a paper. There you can see that the mass spectrometer on Mars orbiter mission MOM, which is just the sister of Chase, that is matching exceptionally well with the number density and everything as compared to the MAVEN, which is the American Mars orbiter, as compared to MOM. This is the same mass spectrometer data, pin by pin match, no problems. So whatever we built was not fake, it was spot on, as a matter of fact. No, I have to correct you. I may be wrong, but I want you people to read more and learn more. So when ILSA papers were, I read a complete paper of ILSA and all because I was going to the TV. So I thought I'll prepare well for what ILSA is made for. So for those lunar quakes, which are micro vibrations and all, they were much weaker. Moon actually geologically is a dead object. Moon does not have core. Moon does not have very active activities, plate tectonics and all we talk about so much, all that jolting we see and all. So the moon quakes, even though 1200 moon quakes were monitored by Apollo era, but they were not big vibrations and the whole thing is going, the table is rattling and all. They were very mild and we need not to worry so much. In fact, we need to worry that let's carry the most sensitive sensor, MEMS based sensor, which can pick up. In fact, when the Vikram was coming down on the ramp, the ILSA was switched on and they wanted to see the rattling of that vibration over the ramp, and then it will go to sand. Once it will go to sand, the vibrations are much slower and you are on the lunar surface. So there is nothing much actually. Lunar quakes are not very big in intensity. Yeah. Yeah. So the simplest thing is the flat. But however, the South Pole is all we said that we will. So if you look at the moon and the sun, the tilt of the moon is not great deal, some 11 to 13 degrees and all. So hence, moon, even though revolving around Earth, with respect to sun, any craters are there on North Pole and South Pole, the sun rays will never go. So there are a lot of permanently dark regions. So moon has no atmosphere. So comets and all coming and slamming on the moon for 4.5 billion years ago and all has deposited lots and lots of cometary material and all that has lot of frozen form of ice, is water ice they say. So that is why, in fact, the Artemis huge program, they are also going to have a human habitat near South Pole only, very close to where, not close, little beyond towards South Pole where the Vikram has landed. That is one reason. Yes.
Since you have mentioned Artemis now, will this Chandrayaan 3 data will help prepare for the Artemis program because it's a
Yeah. So in fact, the LRA which I showed, that will work as a beacon for their landing, precise landing and all. They'll be heavily benefited. Though they don't have to worry about GNC and all. Just have a laser, which is a broader this thing, and then pick that beacon and then just follow the guide. With respect to that, you choose your thing, and then accordingly you have algorithms. So you can go and land anywhere compared to the LRA. So, and since you know LRA, you know your orbit, you can also say that aim that your laser and then the receiving optics, and then go wherever you want. So like a beacon, they can use it. Apart from that, all the 5 instruments of lander and on rover, these are state of the art instruments. They have given a lot of data, reasonably very good data. So from that data, whatever comes out published and all will be very useful. Bad part is nothing much was known about the fingerprints of frozen ice and all. It was not expected also. But anything in the scientific data will be of great use to Artemis guys.
Is there any finite probability that this Vikram will come back to life after this?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. Somnath actually attempted to answer that question again in a indirect clue. So for anything to happen after 14 days, the first thing has to be it should get powered. To be able to get powered, the solar panels, nothing happens to solar panels. They are there. The sun will rise, and then the circuitry which will actually convert the solar power into electrical energy and store it in the battery. So that particular conversion circuitry and then the battery for storing the energy, that has to work. So let's say that has all worked. Somnath almost went on to record to say, in a way, but I don't know, I have to listen to him once again. You guys can listen and extract what he said. He said that our battery, our power system seems to, so they could do the test anyway, they may not be able to go to minus 160, 170, minus 170 degrees centigrade on the thermo vacuum chamber. They could go up to 77 degrees, minus 77 degrees is how much? Minus 190, yeah? Okay, yeah, they could go almost. So they did tests, and he was sure that the power circuitry, power aspect will be there. Question is, will the instruments would survive? Most of the instruments are reasonably recently built. They are not having a great deal of space heritage and all. If these also survive, then it will work. Will the camera work? So they put a lot of emphasis on camera so that you can get a lot of good pictures. So if, after the power circuitry working, if camera works, at least we can get more good pictures. That is the hope. Don't know about science experiments. ठीक है.
So on behalf of all the participants, we'd really like to thank Maqbool for that lovely talk, and I'm sure all of us were following up, you know, the Chandrayaan story on the net, but what we actually got to hear today was something very unique, something which we absolutely did not know, the stories that he told us. Instead, I could sit till tomorrow morning and hear more stories, no problem. There's this thing. But thank you very much, and we'd like to thank Maqbool and Seema for coming. And thank you very much. So we'll see you tomorrow morning, 9:30. Yeah.